This is Amud Yomi Gemara and Shabbos Daf Ayin Gimel Amid Aleph, and we are holding in middle of explaining a brisa. We're on the second line, which the brisa Rava brought down a brisa in order to prove that when one is behelamet, one doesn't know what he's doing. We'll say then there could be a chiyuv, says Rava, even when he intends at some level to the malacha. Reminding ourselves that we spoke about the case where you picked up a piece of lettuce from the ground. We had two cases, whether he knew it was attached or detached, case A. Case B was that he cut it, but he thought he's cutting something detached. And Rava said, you're a potter. So it says the Gemara of Shagig Miskavi Mishar Mitzvahs Echidami. And the Brisa Rava proved this from Shar Mitzvahs. So it says the Gemara, what's a case of Shoigeg without Kavan of Shar Mitzvahs? What must the case be? Discover the Shuman Uvachlai. He sees food, he thinks it's Shuman, which are permitted fats, and he ate it. And then he finds out that in reality, it was chilef, it was forbidden fats. Masha'inkein v'Shabbos, when the verse concludes and says, this is not so regarding Shabbos, to potter, meaning that in a case of Shabbos, you'd be potter, what would the case there be? That is kavin lachtech as as we said, you wanted to cut something detached, potter. So that is Rava's raya. Rava's raya. Again, you had intent to cut, but you wanted to cut something detached. And lemaisa, you cut something attached. Says Rava, you're potter. Just like by Shar mitzvahs, you thought you're eating a piece of kosher, of shuman, and then it was lemaisa, it was chilef. Says the Gemara of Abayi, who says you're chayiv. How's he going to explain the brisa? Shagag b'lei miskavein heichi dami tisavar roiku. He thought someone feels in his mouth a little bit of a juicy item, and he thinks it's roik. He thinks it's his own saliva. Upalai, he swallows, and then finds out that in reality he was some chilef in his mouth. So mashengi b'Shabbos, the butter would be the niskavin lahagbiya esatolosh. You wanted not, you didn't have any intent to cut. This was the case that Abaye was masking is going to be a tour. Rather, what did you have in mind? You had in mind lahagbiya, to pick up that which is talish. And then what happened? You cut that which is talish. The case is there, you're going to be potter. But if you had in mind to cut something detached, and then in reality, lemaisa, the halach is going to be chayiv. You're going to be chayiv. Says the Gemara, Itmar. And the truth is that really should have been done yesterday. The previous year, I apologize. Now we begin anew. Itmar. We're 10 lines down, the two dots. The first word on the line is hatolosh. The last word on the line is itmar. Niskavein lizrik shtayim v'zarik arba. What happens? Someone has kavana to do zrika, which of course is aser, and he throws, instead of 2, he throws 4. Rava Amar Potter, Abaye Amar Chayiv. Says the Gemara. Rava Amar Potter, why? Says Rava Lamaisa. Did you have in mind to do malacha? The answer is no. Therefore, you're Potter. Abaye Amar Chayiv, why? Lizrika Ba'alma. You know you're Potter because you had your chayiv, because you had in mind to throw. You had in mind to do zrika, and therefore you're going to be chayiv. Second machlekes Abaye and Rava. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you a third machlekes. Kasavar rishus hayachid. Someone on Shabbos is carrying, and he thinks, where is he? He thinks he's in a rishus hayachid. V'nim says rishus harabim, and lamaisa, he realizes he's in rishus harabim. Rava Amar Potter, Abaye Amar Chayiv. Rava says you're Potter. Abaye says you are Chayiv. Again, a similar machlekes. Why? Rava Amar Potter Dolemechavin Lizrika de Yisura. Says Rava, did you intend to do something aser? No. You thought it was a Shadayachid. Abaye Amar Chayiv. Why? To come a Chavin Lizrika Ba'alma Lamaisa. You had kavana to do an act of Zrika. So, in classical Gemara sense, we have 3 cases, and the Gemara now discusses why do we need all 3. Why do we need all three cases? Three machlaikisim between Abaye and Rava. Says the Gemara, Tzricha. Diashmi'inan kamaisa. Because if we would have only had the first case, which is our case, which is the case of picking up the piece of lettuce, and you ended up uprooting a plant. Bahu kama Rava. That's when Rava says you're potter. Why? Cause inherent in 4 is 2, and therefore your kavanah for 2 is part and parcel of that which is aser. So maybe and if we only said the second case, in that case, Rava said his case. Why? Because Lamaisa you didn't have kavanah to an aser. But Lamaisa, if he thought it was a shizayachid, and it came out to be Rishus Harabim, where in that case he did indeed have kavana to throw 4 amais. Ema, he just didn't realize the Rishus that he was in. Ema Abaye, that you're going to be chayiv. Sricha says the Gemara, that's why Lamaisa you need all 3 cases. So Machlekes Abaye and Rava. Rava says Pater, Abaye says chayiv. Says the Gemara, why do we need all 3 cases? We explain the nuances. Continues the Gemara, and with this we're going to conclude to get to the Mishnah, which is Shitas Rava. Let's ask a kasha. Tinan, we're about 12 lines before Rava. The first line is Maidi. Our Avos Malachas Arbachas Achas, a Braisa, a Mishnah, that we've seen quoted many times. An actual Mishnah we'll be up to in a few moments. But the Mishnah says, Avos Malachas and Shabbos are 39. Va'avinan ba. And we wonder, Minyan Alamali, why do we have a number? You know why? So says the Gemara, let's understand how this plays out according to Abaye and according to Rava. Abaye says in such a scenario in which he performed 39 malachas, but it was all in one act of forgetfulness. He didn't know it all. But says Abaye chayiv. So it's very simple. Mishkach Sadiyada di Isur Shabbos. He knew there's an Isur Shabbos. Yadla Isur Malachais. Kata b'shiurim. He just didn't know the level, how much is Asur. And that's going to be the reason why there's going to be a chiyuv in such a scenario for each and every avera that is done. Ela l'Rava, says the Gemara. So according to Abaye, it makes sense. Ela Rava damer pater. According to Rava, that says that you're pater in such a case. How could we have a case that you did 39 different things but one helim, and you're going to be chayiv according to Rava? The only case will be that you knew it's Shabbos, you didn't know about the malachais. But that now goes back to our machlokes Rav Yochanan and Reish Lakish from 2 amudim ago. Hanicha, he started like Rav Yochanan. So we can split it. You know there's a lav on Shabbos. At least I'm like Reish Lakish. Damar Shishak b'lav v'kares. The other of the Shabbos umay. What is the case that he knew that it was Shabbos, that he could create these 39 chiyuvim? Says the Gemara, as we've seen this already. The other betchumim v'aliba de Rabbi Kiva. B'siyat d'shmaya. A difficult few amudim. But we'll pick up from here, from the Mishnah, on the next year, Amirta Hashem.